It's the Daily Dog.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. I am thankful that you're hanging out with me today because we got some music by Heart coming to the channel. I recently had the opportunity to review the entire debut album by Heart, Dreamboat Annie. It was one of our extended Play Lounge episodes over on our Patreon. It very narrowly beat out Blue by Joni Mitchell. I'll do that one at some point in the future, but this time I had the opportunity to go through the entire Dreamboat Annie album. I had heard only Magic Man and Crazy on You before going into this album, and I actually produced a Crazy on You reaction to a live performance that they gave of that in 1978, and that was in episode 383 back in April of last year. But this time I got to go through the entire album. And with Magic Man, one of the main reasons why I want to release that for you now is that I've always heard just the version that was on the radio, the single edit. And as I look into it, it's only 3.5 minutes long. The album version is 2 minutes longer. And so I don't think that I had ever heard the extended stuff with all the synthesizers in there. And so I want to share that with all of you today. And so here is my a little bit of my read-in and then the first song on Dreamboat Annie, Magic Man. This was their debut album, their trailblazing debut album released in September of 1975. All of the tracks are written by Ann and Nancy Wilson, and as I read in on everything, and I've spent some time with the lyrics, it's not a concept album as far as I can tell, but the topic of relationships between men and women keep coming back throughout this album. So we're going to be looking into the different facets of relationships and how they work. So we've got Ann Wilson on lead vocals. She is on the flute and acoustic guitar. Nancy Wilson is on the electric guitar, the acoustic guitar, the 12-string acoustic guitar, and backing vocals. Roger Fisher is on the electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and lap steel guitars. A lot of guitars in this band. Howard Leese also on the electric guitar. He works with the synthesizer. He did some of the orchestral arrangements, and he also provides percussion and backing vocals. Steve Fossen is on the bass, and Mike DeRozier is on the drums. As I also read in, they've got about a dozen or so extra backing musicians that help on various tracks throughout the album. So let's get going, y'all. I am working with the original studio recording, and side one starts with one of their big hits, Magic Man. So let's see what this one sounds like. Off we go. And off they go. That's a G. So this on the beat. So you got on the beat versus syncopated stuff. Back to one. Just a single little guitar in there, a little acoustic, electric, right? I'm grooving on. Half the verse is on the beat and half the verse is off the beat. Dichotomy between people going back, this direction. about the relationship between Anne and the original guitarist for the band, Mike Fisher. And she ended up following him to Canada. They're from the Seattle area, but he wanted to avoid the draft for the Vietnam War, and she followed him to Vancouver. And that's where they recorded the album, in British Columbia, not in the States. Just right down the middle. Classic rock, right? Multiple guitars at the same time? Right. I forgot all of this was in here. I wonder if... Is all of this in the edit for the version we hear on the radio? Because I don't know if I remember this. Check out the synths. Hand drums. There's a lot of shit going on in this song. Subtonic, right? Go down to flat 7. Into the chorus. Yum bum. Then it ends back on G. Cool. All right. So I got off the bat there with one that I had heard before, but that middle section, that extended instrumental section, I may have heard it before, but it seemed relatively unfamiliar to me. It's really interesting, y'all. The more that I do all of these videos, especially to songs now that I am familiar with, that I've heard before, especially on the radio, I'm realizing that these songs have more to them than what we were getting to hear on the radio. And you would be like, well, all you had to do was buy the cassette or the LP or the CD and you would have heard it. Well, I never did that, but I've never understood. I know that they have to, maybe decrease the length of the songs to make it more equitable so you can get more songs in an hour for the radio. But it would have been really cool to hear that extended version of that song driving down the road, grooving to heart, So it's cool to finally hear it this time and to be able to share it with all of you. So I am thankful that you have been here. If you'd like to see my reaction to the rest of the album, there's a lot of great songs on this album. In fact, the only songs that I had heard, Magic Man and Crazy on You, are on side 1. Side 2, I really loved. There's a song on side 2 called Love Me Like Music, I'll Be Your Song that just flattened me. I absolutely loved hearing that one for the first time. So if you want to hear the reaction to the entire album, that is currently available on my Patreon. I encourage you to go over there and check it out. But for now, that is all for today, and I thank y'all for being with me. We will see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.